move on. A lot of stuff to cover today, a lot of different tools, okay? So we're going to be dealing with our healing tools today. So a bit of retouching or cosmetic retouching, so removing unwanted objects basically. And as always, I'm going to show you how to use the tools so that way you can apply it to any image that you want. So again, with that in mind, we may as well jump back into our lesson here, folks, and we'll just jump straight into our healing tools. So our healing tools, as I said, are the main focus of today's lesson. As we have so many of them, I think a demonstration is the best way to go about it. So there's not many slides. I do have one that I really need to emphasize on, and that's just more for our professional style of retouching, okay? So I want to talk about blemishes and what's not blemishes, okay? So before we jump straight into actually demonstrating how to remove these blemishes, I want a few people to understand. Of course, there's going to be a few that aren't listed here. I just very quickly type this up so you understand when it comes to retouching professional images, okay? Or if you just want to go down the ethical route, because we all know Photoshop can be used for quite controversial kind of style of images. But when it comes to retouching, folks, what we want to remove is our pimples, any spots that we have. We want to change skin tones so they match in. We can remove excess makeup, any stray hairs that you might have missed when you were doing your eyebrows, when you're trimming your beard, if you have a beard rash, stuff like that. These are the stuff that we want to fix, okay? But when it comes to like ethically restoring an image or actually fixing an image, there's some things that we need to kind of be wary of. Obviously, birthmarks, when it comes down to it, unless you're the client who has asked you to touch up the image says so, birthmarks are what we call a characteristic. So there's something that shouldn't be you can tone them down a little bit, but they shouldn't be completely removed because a birthmark is part of who you are. Does that make sense to everybody? That obviously there's going to be certain characteristics to who you are that you shouldn't remove. In terms of scars and molds and of course freckles. So anyone out there who is very freckly or becomes very freckly in the sunshine, this is something that is part of you. It's what makes you who you are. So unless specifically asked to do so, you shouldn't remove these kind of blemishes. Pierre coming in saying that makes sense. Lots of yeses coming in there as well. But again, yeah, it's kind of common knowledge that you don't want to upset people. So when it comes to changing how people look in their photographs, you don't want to overdo it. You would not make someone who was a little bit on the larger side a size 0 model, because again, that's not who they are. So just kind of keep those kind of thoughts in your mind when it comes to editing. If you're doing it on your own images, feel free to go as creative and wild as you want. Other than that, folks, if you're doing it professionally, go by what the client says and then don't go too far. So yeah, Lena, freckles, I have freckles there. Freckles are not a blemish, so you wouldn't remove them, okay? Perfect. Not a problem. Christy coming in saying thanks for all the bonus videos. There is about 5 there for anyone who's seen them already. Okay, perfect. So again, folks, the first thing you'll notice about our healing tools is that they all generally share the same shortcut except for our clone stamp tool. So they're all going to be hidden under the J shortcut on unless you change to a different workspace or created one from the previous lessons. But yeah, again, this is what we're up against. So again, holding shift and pressing J will rotate through them faster if you're on the Essentials workspace. But these are the tools we're going to look at today, folks. I'm gonna just jump straight in to it, folks, right now, okay, if everybody's happy enough. Lena coming in saying freckles are like angel kisses. It's a nice way of putting it. It is just the sun slightly burning your skin in different patches, but angel kisses sounds an awful lot nicer. Christy coming in again. Christy is ginger, and freckles are part of who Christy is. So again, exactly, it's a characteristic, and that's kind of what I want to get across, that it is a characteristic. Okay, perfect. So folks, I'm going to start off with the most simplest of tools, and that is our red eye tool. So again, I'd say most people kind of understand the idea of removing red eye. For most of this, folks, we're going to be working basically destructively, so we're going to be working on the image. So I'm always going to start with a background, and I'm always going to duplicate it. I'll drag my layers up here so you can all see it. I'm always going to duplicate it, so I'm not working on the original layer. Instead, I'm working on my safety, okay? So I'm working on the layer that we know if we go too far, we always have the previous one to start with. Okay, so folks, red eye tool, as I said, all the tools other than our clone stamp tool can be found under the spot healing brush tool, which would generally be the default one, and they all share the same shortcut. So spot healing, healing, patch, and red eye tool. Content aware move tool was brought into it in CS6, so not everybody will have that. If I have time, I will demonstrate this, but I do want to show off the majority of the tools that everybody will have. The other tool we're going to use is our clone stamp tool, which is the shortcut of S. Okay, so let's jump straight into our red eye tool. Okay, now again, folks, it comes with two defaults up the very top. We have our pupil size and our darken amount in our options bar. So what I'll actually do is I'll duplicate this as well, our safety copy. That's just Control J. And what we'll do is we'll start off with a base pupil size at 50% and darken amount. And what we'll do is we'll zoom in. And again, it's just a click of the mouse. Okay, so we just click of the mouse and we have removed the actual red eye. It's as simple as that. If at any time you want to change how darken or how bright it is, we can come in here, we can change the darken amount to 100, come over to the other eye, and it will be an awful lot darker than the previous one, okay? So what I'll do is I'll actually undo that, and I'll change this to 1%, and we'll come in here, and it'll be an awful lot brighter than our base eye. So the default would be about 50. It's a very simple tool to use, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. I will, however, though, show you also the pupil size. I'm just going to put my back to default of 50%. And again, pupil size, folks, 50% will allow us to kind of have the standard pupil size. Depending on the image that you're going for, obviously our pupils change depending on the light coming in. So if we put that at 100%, it will be a lot bigger. As you can see, this is a lot bigger than our original here. So again, it kind of adds an artificial pupil in for you. If you wanted to change it, if we put it at our 1% and I undo, okay, so we step back, we have that at 1%, and I undo, it'll be smaller than our original. Okay, so you can see there's a red stream here and there's a red stream around that as well, but there's a little bit less of a pupil, so you can see in here the way it looks, okay? Again, very simple, folks. Everybody kind of understand the red eye tool, or would you just like me to do it one more time? Just a quick type in to the question box, folks. I'd say most people are okay with it. Lou's saying, okay, Lou seems to be fine. John is happy. Amy's okay. Most people have got it. Makes sense. And folks, for anyone out there who's a pet lover and likes to take images of their own pets or other animals, red eye tool will also work on what we call pet eye. Okay, so if you ever take an image of an animal and the eyes come across green, you know, well, it depends on the retinas of the animal, but generally they will come across green. Like dogs will be green, cats sometimes will be green. This tool will also work on your pets, so feel free to take plenty of images of all your cute animals and take images of it. Brigitte wants to see it one more time, so that's fine. I will duplicate it, and I'll just, again, it's literally just a red eye tool. Change the options to be what you want. 50-50 is the default, and you just click, and you click, and it'll remove the red eye for you, okay? So we'll just step back, and again what I'll do is I'll put both of these at 100. So we put them at the max, and we'll just come down, and we click, and we click, we zoom out, and there is our image, okay? So again, just the difference in there between them. You do have a variety to play around with. So just whatever suits yourself. Stephen, red eye tool has been in Photoshop for a long time, so you should have it in all tools, in all options. Okay, so everyone happy enough with that? What we'll do is we will open up another image and we'll move onto the more fascinating images. So I'm actually going to open this image here, and I'll open up these two. So 3 images to demonstrate one tool. We're going to start with our friend here. I'm going to close down the red eye tool. We can always go back to it if needed, folks, but I think everybody seems to be fine. D, you can, and you're not the only one asking there about obviously removing glares from eyes. So these tools, the red eye tool is a very simple tool, but all the rest of the tools that we're going to show you today will allow you to kind of remove glares, and the red eye tool will help with it. Okay, perfect. Okay, just going to adjust my mic there for Siddharth. Give me 1 second, folks, and we'll get onto our image. Again, we're going to start now, folks, and move on to the spot healing brush. We showed this at the very start of our course, so we kind of understand the magic that comes with it. To me, it's one of the best tools in it because it does an awful lot of the work for you. Now, unfortunately, Spot Heal tool came into Photoshop in CS2, so if you have an older version of CS2, you will not have this tool. Now, CS2 is roughly about 10 years old, so hopefully you are more up to date, but just in case, there is an expiry of when you will get it. So again, folks, going to duplicate it. We're going to work on our safety. Okay, doesn't need to be named safety. That's just for demonstration purposes with everybody. And folks, again, I'm going to use our spot healing tool. There's a lot of different options. It is technically a brush, so you can change the hardness. You can change how soft it is, the size of it, everything like that. You can use your square brackets to change the size of it, which I will recommend, folks, if you get used to your shortcuts. And I'm just going to very quickly zoom in. And what we're going to do, folks, is we're going to start removing some blemishes. So we've used this tool before. We know that we can just click with it. It's that easy. Okay, so we just click with it. So what we're going to do is we're going to basically find somewhere that we don't like. So here's like an open pore. You want the tool to be a little bit bigger than the image you want to remove, and you just click. That's it. One click, and like magic, it's gone. So we'll do that a little bit, folks. We'll come around, we'll remove all of these pores that we don't want, all of these open pores here, okay, which are technically spots, I suppose, in a way. And there's a few of them. We all have them. But again, it's just something we want to remove. If you come up, we can see that we have some excess makeup here. So we can click, remove the excess makeup that's here that we don't need. If you're looking at your eyeball, we can come in and we can see that we have a little blood spot here. We can just move that. Again, folks, it's just a click. Just one click, that's all we need. And there's plenty that this tool can do. It doesn't have to be just for actually removing weird spots or stray hairs or anything like that. It can be used for anything. So again, look, there's a break in the skin here, so we just change the size of the brush, click and remove the spots, and it's literally like magic, folks, okay? It's literally like magic. And again, I just want to show you that stuff like this to me, folks, would be what we call a mole. So I wouldn't generally remove this. Instead, I mean, you'd leave it there, because that technically to me is a characteristic. But again, you can see how you don't want to go over too many of the pores, but anything that looks like it is too much, you just need to change, okay? The hardness of the brush will blend in with the content aware option that comes with the spot healing tool, Lou. So a softer brush will leave a more softer edge. So again, folks, if we come up here, look, there's a little dent in the head just here. So we remove that, and it's gone. We have like a little pimple here. Okay, we have stray hairs. So we don't just have to click with this tool. We can click and drag. So we can come up here, and we can just kind of fill this area out, and it should remove it for us. So let's actually just do a before and after, folks. Okay, this is our base image. Okay, I've already healed around the cheek. We've removed some hair up the top here, and we've removed some makeup. So let's turn that off, and we'll just toggle in between what we've removed. So again, as we can see here, folks, the shortcut for all of these tools, Tanmay, is J. So you might have to press Shift and J if you want to rotate through them. Okay, because they all share the same shortcuts. And it is a healing tool, because that's what today's lesson is all about. Okay. So again, we're being destructive, but because we have our safety, we're okay with doing this, Christy, okay? Now, okay, so again, folks, everybody kind of understand how this tool works. Always check that your monitor isn't filthy as well, folks. Always clean your screen, because you could be in here removing stuff that doesn't need to be removed. Again, show you the power of this tool. Like we can see that the ear is pierced here, folks. So if I come over, and we'll just unpierce her ear. Okay, with one click. Can I remove the earring? John, I'll come in and I'll remove this nice earring here for you, okay? So we'll just highlight just a little bit bigger than the actual object that we want to remove, and one click and the earring is gone. Okay, so we'll zoom out again, folks, just so you can see the difference there. And here's our before and after. So again, it's finding the stuff that we call blemishes. Now, this image does have a few things that we can remove. Like, there is a few kind of spots over here that we can remove. There's more makeup under the eye, folks. So again, timing and patience is what you need. Everybody loves the quick fix, but we can't always just jump straight to a quick fix. There's a bit of dirt up here and stuff like that that we can kind of slowly start to remove from our images. And there is other ways of doing these kind of things other than just the spot healing, but you will find yourself using this tool a lot. It's extremely powerful, folks. It's an amazing tool to get used to learning how to use. Again, this is more of a mold than an actual spot, but just in case, just to show you that we can remove it altogether. Okay. Okay, Shelley there saying I've been known to spend ages trying to remove a spot on my screen. Yeah, it happens again, folks. So always make sure that your actual screen is clean. Now, with that in mind, folks, it's not just for cosmetic retouching. So if we come into an image like this, where we have the child float, we can make him look like he's floating. So again, spot healing tool, what we do is we come in and we click and we kind of drag a little bit like so. We do the same here. We kind of just click and we'll drag it out a little bit, and we'll kind of just, again, click around the little parts that we know that need to be fixed up. We'll do just here as well. Try and fix that. It's just small clicking, and then again we'll come here and we'll click. Okay, and we now have a floating child. Okay, now can anyone else see the issue now that we have our floating child? Can anyone else see the issue? Now we have, again, folks, I'm using shortcuts, but we've touched this again. If you want to change the size, use the menu bar, okay, up top, which is, again, a nice way of doing it. So Ricky saying I forgot the shortcut. I didn't forget the shadow. I didn't forget the shadow. I was asking everybody, and everyone's typing in shadow anyway. Amanda, Shani, Lou, Phil, Haley, and Isu, everybody's in here. Need to remove the shadow as well. So always keep an eye on the details, folks. So again, make sure you kind of remove any shadows. And if anything looks with a nice click or two, will kind of fix that up. And we now have a floating child. Okay. Again, the power of this tool. So again, if you're ever like, if you want to look like you're braver than you actually are, folks, I have like this image here. We can come in and we can literally use this to remove certain details. So I'm going to duplicate this layer. We're going to come here and we're going to remove this rope. Completely gone. So now we no longer has a harness. And again, we can kind of do the same here. We can come in and we can completely kind of remove this rope, and we can just kind of make the brush smaller and fix out those little details. Be careful, I kind of went over his shoe there, so I messed up a little bit, but you get the idea, folks, that we can make ourselves look braver than we actually are, removing anything that we need to do. The joys of it, again, folks, I mean, if you see little bits that look strange, you do want to kind of use the other healing tools that we're going to look at, but again, just kind of click over anything that looks blurry and we can fix it up. But say this gentleman here, so if I make the tool really big, we'll just click and he's gone. So zoom out here, folks, and there is the difference. So you can see there's a blur that follows the rope here, and that's where you would have to take more time. But the power is that I literally removed somebody from an image with one click. Okay, and then it's about just fixing up the image to look perfect. So everybody kind of understand our spot healing tool? Everybody happy enough with that? Again, it's about trying to find the blemishes or, again, unwanted objects in our images that you would like to remove. Okay. Spot on. That's a good one, Lou. I'll use that from now on. Spot on. Thanks very much. Michael O'Day coming in. Yes and okay. Everyone seems to be happy. Okay. Perfect. Again, just a before and after. And we'll close that down. We have, forgot to do that one, so we'll just close this down. Okay, we close down this image. And we have our before and after here as well. Now I'm going to keep this lady open, and what we're going to do, folks, is we're going to show off our next tool. And the next tool that we're going to look at is our healing brush. So the healing brush is what we call a legacy tool. It is pretty much the spot healing tool before the spot healing tool was brought into it. So it's a way of doing the same magic that we have, but taking the longer route around. So I suppose what I'll do is I will zoom in. Again, zoom tool is over here, folks, if you want to do it. Holding spacebar will allow you to pan, or you can use the hand tool. But again, square brackets is always a nice way of going about it. So what we're going to do, folks, is I'm literally just going to show you what we can do with our healing tool. If I click here, I get an error. So it's coming up, and what it tells us is Alt-click to define a source point to be used to define, to repair the image. So rather than the way our spot healing tool works, where it kind of does it for us, Photoshop does the thinking for us, it picks up on the colors in the image, we have to use this to define a specific area. So if I hold Alt or Option if you're on a Mac, I can choose a specific area. So what we'll do is we'll choose about here. Okay, so I just click while holding Alt or Option. What this will do then is it will allow me to cover this area up with a similar area. Okay, as you can see, basically it's like the clone stamp tool, but it does a bit of fading for us. It does a little bit of fading to try and match tones in. So the difference between the spot healing and the healing tool is one allows you to just very quickly do it, and the other we will have to define a specific area to actually heal with. Okay, so again, it's kind of replacing one area with another. Very similar to the cloning tool, Jordan, but it does a little bit extra in terms of trying to match in with skin tones and everything like that. It's not a straight clone. It kind of tries to match skin tones instead within it. But yeah, it's very similar to our clone stamp tool. Okay, so folks, that's, I mean, again, if you have spot healing brush, yes, it's going to be your go-to tool for a long time. Especially once we see the patch tool, you'll love those two tools, and you'll be using them together a lot. But again, is everybody kind of happy enough with those two tools then, the spot healing and our healing tool? And what I'll do is let me see what other images have I got, and we'll show off our patch tool. So we'll go with this one for the patch tool. Okay, and yes is coming in from John and Michael there, so I'm happy enough. Okay, folks, so I'm going to show off our patch tool. Lots of tools to get through today, so I apologize if I'm going a little bit on the speedy side of it. Again, lessons are always recorded, folks, and I definitely recommend you check it out, because they're wonderful tools to get used to. They're kind of like the bread and butter of Photoshop. They're tools that are used daily in many, many industries. So you know yourself, folks, we're not going to work on the background. We're going to duplicate the layer, and we're going to work on our background copy instead, okay, which is just basically just a nice safety net for us. So as you can see, this tool, folk, technically works like a lasso tool, like our selection tool that we've already looked at, okay? The difference is it will allow us to heal, but it comes with the plus, so we can add to our selections. It comes with our subtract, so we can subtract from selections, and it comes with intersect. So feel free to find the perfect selection that you need. Okay, I am going to just use the base. I'm going to have our patch on normal, and we want to start off with source. Okay, so source just here. So what we're going to do, folks, is we're just going to draw a nice selection around our marker here. Okay, once you have your selection, we're just going to move it. So once you make your selection, I'm going to move, and you can see I'm basically replacing that area with an area that I want. Again, very similar to our healing tool, it will do all of the color matching for us. But if I release now, okay, and I deselect, so select and deselect, I have completely removed this object, and it looks flawless. Okay, if I zoom in, okay, if I zoom in, you can see the change, you can see where it jumps in, but it looks flawless. It actually looks like the pen was never there. Okay. Rana is asking a very good question. Why do I need the other healing tools if the spot healing tool is there? And again, much like our selection tools, no one tool is going to be the answer. So sometimes the spot healing tool won't do the job that you want it to do. It will actually make things worse for you depending on how close it is to other objects. And that's where our patch tool and our healing tool will come in handy, okay? But it is the go-to tool. It is an amazing tool. The patch is just as good. Again, what I'll do, folks, is like that was our removal. Okay, let us show you this. Let's come up and we have our pen again. This time we're going to change to destination instead of source. We're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to come in here. We're going to make and we're going to move. When we're on destination, the difference is that we can actually duplicate our pen. Can everybody see that? Now we have 2 pens. So we can have 1 pen, we can have 0 pens, or we can have 2 pens. Okay, if I come in and I do a selection of these 2 pens here, I can now move this, and with destination, we can have 4 pens. So I'm going to press Control D to deselect, and we now have 4 pens on our page. Okay, and the same again, folks, if I come in and I make a selection here of these 3 pens, and I go to source, I can remove them all again, and we're back to our 1 pen. So again, it's a very cool tool to use. The reason I left this lady open here is because I wanted to show you how to demonstrate it in terms of photos. So again, I would use the patch tool for fairly bigger details than the spot healing. So again, stuff like stray hairs here. We can see there's lots of little stray hairs here. What we do is we select and we make sure it's on source, and we just move it and we replace it with a good area. And you would do this a lot, and you would basically be taking little spots here bigger than our spot healing tool, and we're just replacing it with a good area. So you select a bad area and you replace it with a good area. It is possible to do larger areas at once, but be careful because sometimes it might look a little bit strange. We were okay there, but again, it might look a little bit strange because it is possible if you have a big area that you can sample from, we can replace quite quickly with our patch tool. In conjunction with that, again, folks, it's about using all the tools together. So we flick back to our spot healing tool for the smaller details in here, and we try and remove them instead, okay? So again, it's about using certain tools together. It's not just one tool is an answer, and I need to kind of stress that across, because that comes with our selection tools as well. One tool is not the answer. But again, give yourself an eyebrow tweeze there, folks, if you get the chance. That's, again, it's used for many other things rather than just that. If we wanted to kind of come in here, we can get a very close earring in here, get it close to it, change it to destination. Okay, and again, it probably won't look as nice as we want it to look, so maybe I'll move it down lower here. Match it in. It does a blend for us. So we've added another earring in here, and it does a blend for us. Not as perfect as I would like it to be, but you get the idea on how you can use it for other objects. Again, the difference in here, folks, if we come back to our eyebrow, just going to zoom into our eyebrow here, pan across, and the before and after. Okay. Tanmay, this is the patch tool that we're using. Okay, really nice tool. I definitely recommend you play around with it when you get a chance. Okay, so folks, again, if everybody's happy enough with patch tool, I'll move on and I'll show the clone stamp tool. How's everybody getting on? Lots of information today, lots of fun and magical tools that kind of do a lot of work for us in comparison to what you might have had to do in the original 7 versions of Photoshop. Lou coming in with sweet. Cindy, yes, okay, John's fine. Everybody seems to have got it. Okay. Shani's taking loads of notes, which is good to see as well. Okay, so again, I will remove this. Actually, you know what? I'll leave it open for now, and we'll just get another image here. Okay. So we move in, folks. I have know that there's plenty of ways we can fix this wall. We've already looked at stuff like our patch tool. So again, we can come in and like select our patch tool. Okay, if we wanted to, we can use source and then we can replace it with a source, and it's fixed. Okay, just delete that, make another duplicate of it. Again, just reiterating on everything that we've looked at. If we wanted to, we could come in and we can remove it with our stamp tool, our healing tool, sorry, our healing tool. Again, it's a lot more work, and this tool won't be as nice as the patch, and it'll probably look okay, but it won't be as nice as the patch tool. As you can see, it still leaves little bits. So that's what I mean where they are in conjunction with each other. Always use them together. And then, folks, what we also have is our clone stamp tool. So the clone stamp tool can be a bit of both. Much like the patch tool, it can take away and it can add. So we're going to, again, up the brush here. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to hold Alt, much like our healing tool, and we're going to select an area. So I'm just going to select up about here. Now, this will allow me to stamp on top of our original image, okay? This will allow me to stamp on top of our original image. So all I have to do is literally find the size of your brush, Alt or Option if you're on a Mac, folks, okay? Option if you're on a Mac, choose your area, and then if I press down on my mouse button and I start following this around, it's removing it. What I'm doing, folks, is I'm stamping from my original area. I'm cloning it and replacing it on top of the area that I'm now pressed on. So can everybody see the plus symbol to the right of my mouse, the circle of the mouse? There's a kind of like a plus symbol there. This is the area that I originally selected. As I move, the area follows it with me, so that way we do not have any repeat patterns, allowing me to have a kind of seamless flow to our replacement. So what we're doing is basically, folks, it's in the name. We are basically cloning one area and stamping it on top of another. So just think of it like a normal stamp where you get the ink and you stamp on top. That's exactly what we're doing. But we choose the area that we wanted to work with. But unlike our healing tool, it doesn't do any sort of color correction. It doesn't try balance the light or anything like that. It's a complete stamp, okay? But the joys of it is that, again, it's not just for removing. We can use it to add. So we can we can come up here and we can hold Alt, select this area, okay? Move over here, and what we'll do is we'll stamp in. Again, it's an exact replica from colors to absolutely everything else, okay? And you can see that the plus is following where I'm trying to stamp. And the size of the brush does make a difference. But now we've got two cracks in the wall. You can see that the color is a bit off. So what we would have to do is either adjustments, masking, selections, other healing tools. So we can come in and do a little bit of the spot healing if we need to try and get a more of a blend in. So very quick clicks in here will get a bit of a blend in, especially if you have a soft brush. It's more like a cut and paste of a small area, Ricky. You could say that. Again, if you want to use the clone stamp tool, the joys of it is, unlike our healing tools, this actually works from one layer to another, which I think is quite fun. So again, what I'll do is we have our original, the background here, just here, that we actually removed everything from. I'm going to put that up top here. Okay. Then we're going to come in and we're going to hide it. And I'm going to come to our background copy where we have the two stamps, okay? Now, get my stamp tool. What we want to do, folks, is in the sample area here, we want to change this to say current and below. By default, it might say current layer. And that means that we can select and we can stamp on only one layer. We will have two other options. Current layer, we have current and below, which means I can stamp from one layer to another. So whether it's this image or this image. Or we have all layers, which will allow us to stamp from all images. Okay? So what we're going to do is I'm going to take this image. I'm going to use my stamp tool. I'm going to find the area that I want to start with, which is just here, Alt or Option on your keyboard. Okay, come up to our background copy, and I should be able to, oh sorry, move this around. So I'm going to do it the other way around, folks. I'm going to, there we go. So we can see that it is working. So we'll just stamp this in. Okay, so we'll just stamp this in, folks. Okay, I'm on the middle layer. Doesn't look like much is working just yet, but as I stamp this in, just here, just to show everybody that it's working, if I hide this layer, we can see we actually stamped it in. So again, I can stamp it. I'm stamping from the top layer to the layer below. And I can keep doing this. I can keep doing this again and again until I'm finished with it. So we can keep stamping. It not only works from one layer to another, it actually works from one document to another as well. So it allows us to stamp in from one document to a whole new document that we want as well. So again, if I kind of open up, say, this gentleman here, why not? And I take stamp of him, make the size of my brush a little bit bigger. So if I wanted, I could just stamp this guy here. But if I come to another document, I can stamp him in here as well. Again, it's a complete stamp. So there's no color change or anything like that. It's a complete stamp. So the rest of it then is about your selections and masking to get the specific area that you want. Okay, Michael coming in saying the wall might fall down with that many cracks in it. Perfect. Okay, so again, folks, I hope everybody kind of understands how these tools are working. That obviously I'm showing specific images where it does look fairly easy, but again, depending on the amount of color and everything else in the image, it is different, and that's why you need to use the different heal tools together. So if I can just like come in here and remove that. But again, it kind of duplicates specific areas, okay? So spot healing tool isn't always going to work as perfect as you might want to. So again, patch tool might be your go-to friend, okay, with source. So be careful with what you're actually doing. Use all the tools together. Okay, so I have one more option that I want to show off, folks. Just keep an eye on the time there. Which is our content aware fill. So it's a little bit different, but the content aware fill, folks, will basically, it's only in CS5 and up, maybe CS6, but I want to show it off because it is miraculous, okay? Again, it's quite magical. But with this, we actually just need a lasso tool. We just need a selection tool. We're going to select around this nice leaf here on the ground, okay? And what's going to happen is we're going to remove it and we're going to replace it with the stones that are in the image, with the content of the image. So again, you just make your selection. What you do then is you right click and you go to the option of fill. Once you hit fill, you will get an option in here, which will by default probably say foreground color, but because I use the content aware options a lot, I have it by default on content aware. Don't worry about everything else in here, folks. Just leave it the way it is. Once you hit OK, it will do a bit of thinking for us, and it should remove this completely gone and filled with the content around it. There is a bit of a blur, and that's where our other tools will come in. So to remove this kind of blur, you will use your patch tool, your spot healing, and everything else, okay? So again, just to kind of show that off, we're going to step back. This time, folks, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab our polygonal lasso tool, and I'm just going to select in here. So very quickly, select inside the leaf, and it'll still fill with the content that's in the image, okay? But instead, it'll only fill inside the area that I have selected. It's quite nice. There's plenty of different reasons to use it. So again, get out there, find the images that you want. So again, make your selection, right-click, fill, make sure it's on content aware, and hit OK. Just something that I wanted to show off, folks. It's not completely needed. Deselect, and you can see it's picked up on the content in here and filled in the area with it. Okay. Alan, if you want to do photo restoration, I am actually going to do a bit of a bonus content which will be attached to the end of this recording for you, because I always like to give bonus content, folks. So you will see a bit of photo restoration on the recording of this lesson. So I do recommend you check that out. But it is the similar tools. It's the exact same tools, Alan, that you've seen here.